So this is the quickly assembled talk about the areas which currently we are working at our institute. We have a set of people which are involved in this work, and I'm going to give you some kind of overview. It's not a very detailed technical talk, but we'll throw some lights about some research issues available for interesting work. That's our department. Again, a small piece of information. It's around 22 years old department. Currently, we are 15 faculty. We have nearly 40 PhD scholars in the department. Most of them are full-time. And we have reasonably strong project funding from many different sources, which we currently work on. So many of the scholars are being funded through project. And the areas we work on in our group is network simulation, emulation, wireless, wired network attack modelings and countermeasures, multi-core architecture typically on networks on chip. We have our own open source software called Nirgam, which we have been working on for last almost 7-8 years now. Then we earlier worked on desktop metamorphic and polymorphic malware analysis. Now the same work we are trying to extend towards the Android malware analysis and countermeasures, for which today's talk will be focusing on. So if you look at the history of Android, it is an open source software which any device we can take up and port with Android operating system. Google developed it. In fact, Google acquired it and developed it, and actually many OEMs picked it up for the mobile device operating system. And now it is going to be used with many other embedded applications as well. Means what we talk about Internet of Things, typically IoTs, automobile, and many other form factors going to come. So it's a bit old data, but it has surpassed in feature form. Means smartphones have now more than the number of features phones what we have. Android accounts for nearly 82% of total, and going up and up. In fact, the last count which we looked at, it's typically 86%. Cellular mobile users are now 6.8 billions around the globe. It's almost now getting more than the total population of globe. So we are hitting the target that every person has got more than one mobile or more than one phone actually. So each day around 1.5 million Android devices are activated. Now when I say devices, it includes phones, it includes tablets, it includes going to be desktops very soon. You will have some kind of smart watches and so on and so forth. Fueled by huge reduction in cost of silicon and integration, what we call the commoditizing of the mobile devices, they became very affordable. In fact, what we used to have an Android phone, I think 3 to 4 years back, around not less than 30,000 rupees. Now you have 3,000, 4,000 rupees actually, which is coming. And look at the tablets same way. And bandwidth connectivity cost is also coming down. What we call the pervasive connectivity with cheaper bandwidth, and this trend is going to continue. So we can see environment wherein the bandwidth connectivity, cheaper devices with features are being there more than the people themselves, and we call it smart actually somehow, but I'll tell you that why it is not smart as well. And every technology, when it grows, then there has to be something what we call some funding, right? Somebody should be able to buy it, and somebody should be interested in buying it. Then only people will develop it and they'll be sell it. So if you look at the Android app market, is likely to grow around 70 billion in the next 2 years. When we talked about the paid one, from the current level of 25 billion. So it's a huge opportunity in terms of research and development and understanding. So what is smartphone? If you look at the basic, basic is a phone that is smart, or a phone having non-phone capabilities, in fact, which can do more than a phone. And for phone, we used to have is, typically we used to talk about the voice, and we talk about SMS, nothing more, maybe MMS actually to some extent. But later on, now we have the camera, we have the video player, we have the audio player, we have the FM radio, and we have so many functionality with a smartphone. Soon you will have the Bluetooth tags, means where a phone can be controlling multiple tags around. A phone shall be controlling a car. It's already there actually out. So if it is there, then it becomes one of the most important device with you. And that is already happening. Means if you lose your phone, then where is phone? Where is phone? Means what you call a fear of missing out. You know, something is, and if you have some message on say WhatsApp, if it is not replied, then you will think that something is missed out. Actually, I have to do it within a minute or whatever possible. Or I can say computer that calls. Now this statement takes significance because earlier we used to have a computer having a single core, you know, processor, typical functional processor, and you used to attach RAM, chipset, and big box, air conditioning, so on and so forth. Now more than that, nowadays you have in a pocket which you sit over it. Actually, you know, that's the kind of situation it's come, and it is having 8 cores, whereas your processor core in your laptop or desktop is 2 to 4, not more than that. So in a way, it becomes a computer which call. So it has got much more and many more capabilities than we can possibly use right now or will be using. So there's a lot of scope for growth over there. Or a smartphone provides means to control IoTs, hence the gateways to IoTs. And IoTs, as I said, they are conglomeration of sensors. And sensors are becoming dirt cheap. In the sense, what we used to pay for $10 a couple of years back, now you pay for 10 cents. 1 by 100 times means one scale reduction in the cost. And they are going to grow and grow, nothing else. So you can, this is some of the ideas which we thought that why it is called smart. People say that though people are getting dumber with the smarter phones actually. Okay, so it is smart because cellular telephony, voice, SMS, MMS, which we used to use it. Application, camera, sensors, quite a few. Graphics coprocessor, so that you can play games, you can watch videos, but you have a limitation of energy. So you have a smarter of these kind which can work with you. Do you have multiplayer games also? Means there are 3 or 4 you can work together and play games together at distance locations. Processors, multi-cores, multiple wireless connectivity. Now this is very interesting because you have the local connectivity. What we say is in terms of Bluetooth, infrared, NFC, which gives you 1 meter to few meters, and then you have wireless, Wi-Fi, you have 3GPP, which is working through your GSM or CDMA network, or WCDMA in general, and so you have 5 or 6 connectivity at the minimum. And secondly, you are capable of receiving all GPS locations as well. So it becomes, you know, all kind of services, data services over cellular, internet via Wi-Fi, address book, calendar, and you carry a lot of information. See, you get panic at the loss of your phone simply because you have a lot of information on it, which you otherwise used to keep it in different format like diary, you know, kind of desktop computers. Now what says, Google has destroyed it, that idea. He says that, okay, you just create an account, keep your contacts, I will sync it around. Now if you lose it, it gives you a recovery path also, in a sense that you can sync another device, buy it and do it. And mobile cell operator will say, okay, I'll block it. So your handset is lost, but at the same time, it carries a lot of information which are of interest to others as well. Remember this. What you do, what you buy, what you use is very important for you. So if that is the case, if I know about your profiling, then I can push my products which you may like, which I think nowadays everybody is doing it. That's why what you search on your smartphone is visible on your desktop as well. Because Google does it. It shares your profile across various platforms. Why? Because that information flow or your personal profiling is being shared with many vendors like Flipkart, Amazon, Snapdeal and whatnot. So that they can make very focused and targeted information across you. Where? When you're browsing, say, a newspaper, then you will see a particular advertisement coming to you, which you have searched last night. So how does that guy knows about what you searched? Because your cookies was shared, that information gone across from your mobile to your search history and given to that particular vendor. And vendor is paying to Google, hence Google maintains that kind of search profile for you. And this is being done actually in various ways. So as I said that now you have radio and maybe set-top box after some time, which will work with your mobile phone. So everything is there and it's become all-powerful machine for us. So my problem is that if we have a single point which knows too much about you, then what to do with that? So can we do something more interesting? So as I said, these are the and now you have almost infinite amount of memory, which is very cheap. We still talk about say 8 GB or 16 GB of RAM, you know, on your desktop or laptop, but look at your Samsung or any smartphone, which will give you 64 GB of data, which is small micro SD card, it fits in. And you can store any amount of data. And one thing which has changed also drastically is the way we communicate with the machine. Now it's a very UI intensive, what we call the swipe, pinch and capacitive touch screen. Probably after some time, we will have people who don't know how the keyboard is look like, because the keyboard and keys are all software driven. So anything which was a hardware has gone in a software way, which is being coded on a screen which you touch and use. Advantages, there are disadvantages as well actually. So, and this is the major change when we went towards that. It can do very interesting thing because there's a huge amount of memory and processing. It can do facial recognition, so it can give you additional security. It can do auto focus, and it can geotag the systems as well, which is being used very popular and used in taxi services as well as cars. In fact, the high cost capacity cars has got a geotagging and some kind of black box kind of thing which is being stored, which keep on sensing and collecting information with or without your knowledge. Actually, it can happen. And as I said, that we have quite a few connectivity options available now, and they are growing. Lots of application, popularly called apps, available through official and third-party app stores, intended to be multi-format programmable device. So that is a technical jargon that I can develop if I want. I am smart enough to develop that particular application, put on this generic platform and start using the sensors and computation onto it, right, to generate additional data. What are the problems? So we have certain limitations which are, it's a slower processor actually. Still we are dealing with 1 gigahertz, not very high, but we don't require also. See, when you are doing the voice processing, like typical voice call, or you don't need a very fast processor actually. You just need to set a circuit switch and the airtime calculation that how much time actually you called. Limited battery, that is a major issue right now, and lesser memory in this. Because if you recall 3 to 4 years back, we used to charge our mobile phone once in 3 days. And nowadays, you charge your mobile 3 times a day. Actually, it's almost 9 times one scale factor has gone. And that gets heated up and so on and so forth. And primary memory is still an issue because still it continues to use the same, though RISC processor of ARM core, but it used to use the same von Neumann architecture. So we have a limitation that everything has to go through cache to memory and so on and so forth. It's a handheld, unlike PC, no keyboard or mouse. And hence, with this kind of technology, what are the perceived security concerns? Yes, that's our look. It carries too much of personal information. That's what we know. It's there. Second, contacts, SMS, email, social network credentials, passwords, bank account information, browsing history, location information, etc. All sort of information is being gathered, with your knowledge or without your knowledge. It's there. Sensitive information need protection. In fact, though in India right now our laws are not very particular about the privacy. You don't have unlisted numbers and so on and so forth, and it's very easy to get your somebody's mobile number. But otherwise, in other places, outside India, other part of the world, privacy is a big issue. Means even if I'm speaking over here, people won't know beyond that I am attached with this institute. GTU has invited me. I am giving workshop. Right? But otherwise, you may Google it. Of course, everybody can be Googled, but you may get only limited information for that. But if you're not careful, then this mobile can be very handy to extract your personal information. Remember, features phones are proprietary firmware with no programmability. Since what we used to use earlier, that feature phones without any smartness, they don't have any programmability. Since they don't have any programmability, you could not extract much information. Though it has some part of it, but we could not do much about it. App vetting is still a non-standard infancy. Now in Android, what happened? Google gave Android. It says, I'll give you secure one. I'll check the security and launch the next version as well. But Macromax and anybody will, or not to be quoted a name, the brand A will say that I'll take that Google, I have this hardware, I will port this particular this version of Android onto this. Because I'll show you later that it's a huge version history. Now when I do this, While porting any OS to a particular device, which I can buy easily from China, because you have now at least 100 to 150 types of mobile phones of different cost, then I'll buy the firmware as well. Now firmware is not that huge in variety. They're limited in tens of numbers, like 30 or 40. Few are very much verified and works very well, but others say that I'll give you firmware, but I'll give you money also. You use this, but at the same time make sure that you use these apps as part of system apps, so that they can collect information about you. This is true actually. Means this what people have done it, we have also done it, so we know it, that the way, because information is very important. Information can be bought. You might have heard many times that in particular call center this amount of information is being leaked. People bought it, people sell it, and that information is very useful. Whether it's an insurance company, whether it's a credit card company, your credit history, your debit card company, and they don't give it that easily, but it is possible. So, and this is a repository, as I said, sensitive information need protection. Feature phones, as I said, cannot be done very easily. Smartphone APIs, APIs for application development, because the strength of Android was that APIs were given that this is the way you can use the sensor, you develop your own app and launch it and sell it. Now I will go look at very attractive games, features and UI interfaces, and I will not complain much because it's coming free to me. We all are very freedom fighters actually. We want everything to be free, right? That is the case. In a sense, anything is free is very attractive to us. So we get it, we install it, we don't realize it what is done. Why something should be free? Tell me. If I don't know you, why should I be giving you free? But at the same time, either I'll give you some baggage which can extract information, or I will start inserting some ad libraries for the Google model, so that if you click, I'll get money. So that is the model actually which works, which is advertised. So it becomes very attractive target for malware industry. And in fact, now it is more attractive than desktop PC. So I'll show you a few view graphs that the growth of Android malware is much higher than any desktop. The spectrum is, in order to deal with the variety of systems, services and application, elaborate OS became a necessity. So this is a bit of history. Earlier, before Android, swept the floor completely, we had Alien, Android, Bada used to be again with Samsung. BlackBerry came, wonderful operating system, went away because it was proprietary. People didn't want to pay for operating system. And boot to Gecko, Brew, GridOS, iOS, Linux version which can work on this, MIMO, MeeGo, MXI, Palm, QNX, a few of them is still being missed over here. And each mobile device OS has a different standard, services, styles, behaviors, focus and interaction for given sensors. And each OS has got its own set of vulnerabilities. The proprietary software had the vulnerabilities, they were taken care of by an OS. Android, nobody takes responsibility. Because as I said, company X will take older version of Android, port it, the patch comes, Android says that I'll release the patch for security, but it is the responsibility of OEM to push the patch for that particular device. And if that company is cutting the corners and selling you a very cheap phone, they won't be doing it. Because in that case, they will have to maintain a Play Store or a kind of software service which pushes to all the devices, and that wants that you track all the mobile handsets sold by that company. Usually they don't do it. They sell and forget. It's like this. Because they become very cheap. And service cost money. There's nothing called, as I said, free lunches. So this is a structure, open source OS developed by Google under AOSP, supported by Open Handset Alliance, by OEMs, by Google, by service providers, and so on and so forth. Current estimate, excess of 80% of Android devices. I think more than 11% is iOS. Rest is by others, BlackBerry, Windows, and so on and so forth. So this is a quick overview of architecture before I tell you this various version history, which is a huge for Android. So platform is a hardware which is typically soft core ARM, core, which also supports x86, MIPS and PowerPC cores, but majority is only ARM. They have been using Linux kernel 2.6.2 onward. Current version is 3.x. Core native libraries which works with WebKit, SQLite, OpenGL, libc, and Dalvik virtual machine was created. Now Dalvik virtual machine is contemporary of Java virtual machines, but they did not use Java virtual machines for the simple fact of avoiding any conflict with Sun at that time, Sun and now Oracle actually. Reason very simple, because they were registered trademarks, and when they created, they wanted to make it open, so there could have been conflict, so they created Dalvik virtual machine. And second reason was technical, that since we expected that the amount of memory or primary memory will be smaller and slower, so to save power, as I said, energy was limited, they created register based virtual machines. So they picked up ARM processor which had automatically large number of registers, and they exploited this to give you user experience. Because remember, user experience depends on how quickly I can run my app and how can my touch can give me a character, something like this. So execute the bytecode from Dalvik executable or DEX files, and then Android runtime ART is introduced, I think, last November 2014, which does again something extra in compilation and execution to give better user experience. And this is the view graph, which is standard. You can find everywhere. Every paper of Android actually will give you this kind of figure. So Android kernel and Dalvik virtual machine based on Linux kernel, because open source with a proven security model, because Linux is everywhere now and it works well for us. Exceptional developer and user community support. It's open source. People have been using it. People have been using very well. Robust process and memory management and discretionary access control model, which works. App bytecode runs under Dalvik virtual machine. As I said, it is a register-based virtual machine against the stack-based JVM. Android KitKat provides ART, which was launched last, I think, November 2014, as an option to DVM to make apps run faster and improve battery life. Expected to improve battery life, but it has created different sort of problem. In fact, I still struggle with my phone, which when it was upgraded, started crashing actually with the S4. So probably they are telling us go and buy a new phone, something like this. Can it also mitigate the security issues of Android? Let's see. Let's try to answer. We don't have any answers, but we'll try to answer it somehow. As I said, that free app downloads currently is typically 127 billion apps. It's a huge number actually if you look at it. In 2014, end of it, and by 2017, there will be 100% increase nearly up to 253 apps, billion apps actually, not 253 apps. And the paid apps, as I said, with 11 billion apps, in number will go to 14 billion apps. So look, if you look at the comparison, then the free app growth is much higher than the paid apps. So people will be doing all kind of stuff to earn from their free apps. There's nothing called free. Remember this. If you try to sell something free, then you should always be very, very wary about the person. Why he is giving me free? There is no free ride. So either it will be malware or malicious content, or they are putting some libraries which can extract information which can be sold, out of which I can earn some profit. Because having the sheer volume can give me enough money. And that is main motivation for me. So popular freedom, is it free? I don't know. So this is one of the reasons why Android remains vulnerable and available for malware writers and malicious apps. Android OS flavors named on confectionaries. They're very sweet people actually. Either they try to push some sweet things. Look at the cupcake, donut, eclair, froyo, gingerbread, honeycomb, ice cream sandwich, jelly bean, Kit Kat, and lollipop. Funnily, it used to be called key lime pie earlier, but it was again a pie, but again they changed it. And maybe after some time, some Indian confectionery will come, because there is a large population of India who are also developing over there. Now, this is the only major share, as I said. And another thing you can see is the C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. So it is that alphabetical also. Only I am telling all the patterns. Google released 36 flavors in 7 years. So you can look at it. What is the state space of types and subtypes of operating system? Multiplied by types and brands of smartphones. You have humongous number of phones available for you to experiment. And if you are able to push some malicious things which helps you get money, why not? OEMs are responsible for patches, upgrades, not AOSP. Google said, we won't do it, you do it yourself. I'm giving you free, take it or leave it. People are picking it up because it is selling it, it's popular now. And fragmentation problem. Hence, many devices and most of the devices which we call cheaper remains unpatched. Since they are unpatched, they good for malware writers and researchers. Researchers like us, we don't earn money out of it, but we will keep on telling that this is a problem. But malware writers, they earn a lot of money. In fact, now our smartphones are good enough to become the bots. So they can launch, and the bots can be bought or rented on a DIY basis. Do it yourself. You can rent them, use it, do whatever you want and give it back. It comes like this. So there are places where you can do it. So our devices are good enough for that purpose as well. So Android Lollipop, a bit of it, the latest one, November 2014, API level 21. API level usually we refer to because we want to look at that what is the native code, what is type it's being used, and what problems it can face. It supports Android runtime environment with ahead of time compilation with improved garbage collection. So the user experience expected to be better. ART is replacing Dalvik virtual machine, which is just-in-time compilation. Supports up to 64-bit CPU. Means till now we are still struggling with application going from 32-bit to 64-bit in desktop application, server application, and here now you have handheld operating system which can support up to 64-bit CPU. Project Volta for battery life improvement, which is this year you're going to see the major advances in the charging of battery, typically wireless charging as well as better batteries which will come across. Audio input and output through USB, which depends when the hardware start being supported on this. Multiple user supports. Till now only single user was supported. Supports guest accounts for device sharing, and Android Smart Lock facility for improved security. They claim it. Of course, OEMs are giving their own, like Knox is being given by Samsung, then Xiaomi is giving something else, and every OEM gives in different way. So what are threats? Actually, let's risk. When the internet was born, it's a general I quote it, was born, nobody envisioned the usage and threats we would face in coming decades. That's why IPv4 came. And when the Internet Protocol version 4 came, it was pretty naive protocol, perfectly working, but no security concern came. Because we didn't thought that somebody is going to attack the network. But nobody also thought that it can generate its own economy. And when it generated, then all kind of threats came. We like to say that we learn from our mistakes and we won't make them again. Not surprising, nobody envisioned the threats we would face in mobile domain. Are we learning from the earlier mistakes? I don't think so, actually. That's my opinion. So mashing together many services and on one device, we should have thought a bit more. Mesh up means we have all kind of connectivity, we have all kind of sensors, we have all kind of patches and types of operating system, and we have 2 or 3 levels of code which works to give you services, creating problem for us. As I said, the mashup of apps, protocols, services, features of modern smartphones has opened the door to threats that nobody completely understand. Typically, colluding apps, colluding devices, we don't understand. We yet to create a model. Execution model of any app through static analysis is still yet to be controlled. Control flow integrity of any app execution is yet to be analyzed in real time so that we can find whether it is benign, good, or it's a bad one. The complex ecosystem of mobile architecture continues to expose new threats and probably still hides the unknown. So we don't know much actually. We know a bit of it. I don't claim that we know a lot about it. Malware distribution has diversified now. You can distribute in many ways. You can pass on information in many ways. Social networking apps can steal your private information. That's very easy to do. Standard Wi-Fi operations expose sensitive context information. Where you are, what you are doing, what did you press, what is your UI inferences, whether you are giving your bank user ID and bank password. Can somebody guess it? Yes, people have shown it that it can be guessed. Though difficult, but can be guessed. Sensors on a smartphone can leak the passwords. They can identify themselves that whose it is. And I can spoof it also actually. I can, make that I am him and he is me, actually something like this. Insecure apps on open IoT platforms like Android Wear and Android Auto expose themselves to threats, which can be critical. See, right now, if something happens with my smartphone, if it crashes, as I said, I'm not much worried. I can complain that this is a 40,000 rupees phone, it's trash, what to do with that? I cannot buy a phone within 2 years' time. Can I? You don't know. So, so in a sense, but if it happens on my vehicle, then I'm worried man, because it may go for an accident. Somebody can do something remotely with me. Unauthorized access to mobile banking applications. Others, more to come, let's see in the latest slide. Software with malicious intentions. What is malware? Typically collecting user information, covertly sending premier rate SMS, premium numbers, remote access trojans, which can actually hijack information. Clickjacking, you click something, it sends some information, or it takes you to some place where some information can be leaked. Adjacking attacks, ransomware, it will come and encrypt your file system and send a mail that give me this money, I'll give you a key to decrypt it. Spreading to other smartphone, evading detection, command and control. What we call is cyber physical system may start getting affected. This is the old one. Earlier we used to call it potentially unwanted applications, but now we said that they are real malware. So if you look at infection rates, that more than 11 million smartphones are infected in 2013. Out of them, 60% run on Android. That is 2013. It's old. Actually, it's 1.5 years old. And if you look, compare with the mobile and desktop threats, then you can see that they are, this is the countrywide. Unfortunately, it's not visible. Countrywide, you see the Android versus desktop. This is mobile and this is desktop. So you can see that everywhere the threat is pretty visible, and mobile malware growth has grown in last 2 years up till end of 2014 like this. It's a pretty huge, and in fact the Android has surpassed Windows in the race to malware creation. So you can see this Android is now major share out of the total 100% in December 2013 actually. So why Android malware is so rampant? Number one, it has got the largest market share. And the criminals are naturally targeting where they can earn money out of it. Android smartphone permits third-party apps, that is other than Google Play apps. You can create your own Play Store, or even without Play Store you can pass on the apps. And authors have option to penetrating regionally popular but unpoliced app stores, typically Russian, old East European and many Chinese territories where there's not much of a legal obligation. People do it, and many friendly countries can cooperate to catch the culprits. But what happens if they are two opposite natured countries? They do it, they will feel happy, right? Country A has hacked the website of country B, and they celebrate it actually in a sense. Same way over here. Built-in billing systems for SMS, MMS, in-app purchases, credit card, etc. Newer devices have near-field communication, which is now coming actually. In most of the places which people say that can create another type of money, means Android phone can create your credit card information rather than carrying a credit card itself, and near field communication can be used to make the contactless payments. Now this will create another attack vector. This leads to device similar to credit card, raises location privacy issues and exposure to NFC based billing system vulnerabilities. So this is being thought of. In some countries, third-party app stores are used due to restriction on Google Play, because like in China, some portion of Russia, Google Play is not visible. You cannot use Google or Gmail. So in that case, possibly you have local Play stores with different names, funny names, and you take some apps from the Google Play Store, repackage them, rename them, and give it free of cost. But you add some extra baggage over there, and which is happening, which I'll quickly show you. And reason is I can get away with that because Android app has got weak app signing policy. Means the developer himself actually signs the apps. And a smartphone can be connected to PC via USB. Malware infection can take place from device to PC and vice versa. And because of fragmentation problem, I said that very frequent update releases widens the scope of malware penetration. So this is a typical ad hijacking. Typically when we look at the app in the store, somebody repackages it, put it, reverse engineer it, put some extra baggage, again pack it and put it some other place with the same name. Of course, not at the Google Play Store, but somewhere else where it nobody will object. I will get it on my mobile, or it will come with my firmware, and then when I use it, then my revenue stream, which was gone, should have gone to this app developer over here, will start going to somewhere else. The person who gave and developed that app with a lot of effort as a free app, under anticipation that so many millions of hits will generate this much of revenue, it will go away. Same way is what we call the premium SMS thing. It's a typical one, which is very common, in fact, that I use SMS. If it is encrypted, it is infected, then it will go to some kind of premium SMS number, country specific. Remember this. These SMS numbers are different from different countries. I'll first of all geotag myself, try to find that which is a premium SMS number for this country. I'll send an SMS. It will be charged. Now you will say that immediately SMS will come, right? So I will be smart enough that as soon as that SMS will come back to you, I'll suppress that SMS. So on your phone, you won't be able to see this SMS that I have been charged. And that SMS value can vary from few 1 or 2 rupees to 15 rupees, something like India or some other places. But this happens, and it's doable actually. And this is the app propagation model, but I'll skip quickly actually because we need to quickly close it as well. So what we do it actually, first thing is I can do the privacy leakage without informing user. I can collect information about you without telling you that I am collecting it, and I can sell it off. So information stealers, spies like Gold Dream, GPSS, MS Spy, Spitmo, etc. So these are some malware and trojans which comes with the apps and does these kind of things. Monitoring charges, as I said, that telephony, SMS misuse, it can happen. Monitoring of mobile TAN, transaction authentication numbers, to fraud bank transaction. It's not prevalent much in India, but Russia, it's a big game. And in fact, in many of the Eastern European companies also, it's there. It was reported. And high data charges due to bandwidth consumption, for example, web proxy malware not compatible. So what happened is that they somehow force your phone to start leaching lot of data bandwidth. Ultimately, you pay for it. Remember that when you take any data plan, then within your limit, it's very cheap. And as soon as you go beyond your limit, it becomes very expensive. So that thing, they can do it. And out of that, everybody learns. So at times it's being done for fun as well, for earning money. So these are the examples like Hippo SMS, very common, Rogue SP Push, Jetmo, and Fake Defender. And privilege escalation, that gaining root access by leveraging extra system level vulnerabilities, Rage against Cage, AS root gingerbreak. So they break your operating system, which otherwise being controlled by your OEM, which is pushing your patches, and take control of it. So they won't allow you to actually update and patch as well. So these are various categorization which we have seen it. They can even create denial of service DOS attacks on CPU, battery, and bandwidth. And something which annoys us more than malicious, what we call the potentially unwanted application, what we call the aggressive adwares. They keep on popping up on your screen, and you keep on closing it. So you get annoyed. So hacks of an apps are occurring all the verticals, because three things we have to look for where actually money goes. One is what we call the financial services, second is retail, third is healthcare medical. Right now we are not very standard in healthcare medical, but soon we will be. Remember, this is very, very important in case of healthcare data in Europe and Americas, where they are very particular about this thing, because your insurance rate can go up as soon as somebody knows that what category of illness you are in, and so on and so forth. So easiest thing to do is repackaging. Anybody can do it, and tools are available, which I'll let you know. It is the process of modifying an existing app, which is popular, through reverse engineering. After that, re-sign modified app with new certificate, upload into other app stores. Not the same, other app stores. Otherwise, you will be identified. Why do repackage? To divert the advertisement revenues. Earlier, it was passing out somewhere else. Now, it will go to my account. Something like this. Malicious authors change ad network affiliation with his or her own account, divert revenues. To create trojans by adding malicious payload, download popular apps with Google Play, add malicious payloads, upload them. So, and this is one of the most persistent threat right now, actually. It's basically financial rerouting. So this is the repackaging made easy, means you can do it. Disassemble the source and DEX using a tool. It's an open source tool called APK tool, which is available. Optionally verify the bytecode by executing dalvik VM command for this malicious payload, which you will compile it, create jar file, create DX executable, and check it whether it works or not, and then add to this bytecode, add the reverse engineer code, assemble into APK again using APK tool, sign it with your jar signer, and release the malicious app. So it's not very difficult to do it, and people have been doing it. This is how Android malware is exploding actually as of now. So this is a very this is a thing which we encountered called golden miner. There are many more actually. We have present golden miner, but the repackaged ones. So when we analyzed it from the third party, I think from one of the IP enabled or IP, there was no name actually. It's an IP based place, some app store. So we found that there is something additional is being added, a new receiver that listens to boot event and service component, and many new dangerous permissions has been requested actually, which was not declared initially. And typically, if I say that you use the what they call it, torchlight, right, as an app. Now, if torchlight in your Android phone start asking that I want Wi-Fi connectivity, then you should be careful. Why the torch will be needing Wi-Fi actually, for that matter. But it happens. Because since it is free, we don't care actually. Okay, give all, okay, done. But what happens is that starts leaching information with it. I'm not saying that everybody is doing it, but there are cases which can be done. So here, what we call one of the most complicated Trojan, which is available as a code, we call the Genemy Trojan, which adds its own tree of files, and it works as a bot contacting its command and control servers. It deletes SMS, read and send SMS to a remote service which is hard-coded in encrypted form. Make a call, open URL, download, install an app, etc. in the background. You won't know it. All communication with command and control servers are encrypted with the hard-coded keys. All literal strings get encrypted as well. This is, I said that this is the threat scope or threatscape. As a research point of view, what we should be doing actually, so you can do these things actually. You need to analyze the app and you need to detect. What you are dependent currently on? You depend that at the Play Store, Google is doing enough. So when I download from Play Store, then I assume that with sufficient confidence, that is good enough to be used. And most of the time it is actually good enough to be used. In that case, okay, fine. So if you want to do research, then typically we do it in pattern matching, static code analysis in the program. We do dynamic analysis, which is difficult to do because you have to create your own sandbox and start looking at the program execution, native code injection, so on and so forth. Or you can do some kind of hybrid approach. As I said, static analysis will include encryption, repackaging, dalvik bytecode obfuscation, anti-debugging, anti-disassembling, and so on and so forth. These are commercial tools which are available, which works with this, including many others. Anti-Y, Avast, AVG, ClamAV, Dr. Web, McAfee, Microsoft, Symantec, Trend Micro. But remember, analysis of malicious content in Android being virtual machine based is again very difficult. Why? Because any application working in user mode will be working as a virtual machine, and virtual machine with a UID cannot go and control other virtual machines that easily, because that is structure. Until you are rooted or admin, you cannot control anything. So whereas in desktop PC, any antivirus actually supersedes all with the rights, and it can scan anything whatever it wants. Here it's not that simple, because every application working within a virtual machine won't show everything what I am doing. So that becomes a challenge. How do you do it? After looking around with its performance. So that's why we said that even with a simple obfuscation, these methods actually fail. This we have been writing actually, which we have been working. And one of the most popular tool is AndroGuard, which is available for last 3 years, I think more than 3 years. Second is DroidMoss, which again, it's again research tools. Most of the tools are research tools, except Drozer, which is commercial as well. And AndroMali is again one tool which in 2012 they have been using last year. CopperDroid, again between UK University and one of the German groups. Again, it's a web-based thing. You upload the app, it will give you a report. And CrowdDroid, which works on this. and many more, Androbase, and so on and so forth. Now, this is our tool. That's why actually I do some kind of advertisement over here, that what we have done last 2-3 years. So this is, you can go and check it actually. You can upload your app if you are feeling threatened that I don't know what it's doing. So it will help us also that it will go in our database. And if you are working on an Android analysis or malware analysis, then you can send a mail from your institutional mail ID. So we can share our data set also. We have one of the biggest and best database in the world actually. We have around 40,000 plus tagged apps of malicious in static as well as dynamic domain, which we have been collecting almost like last 3 to 4 years. Incorporates both static and dynamic analysis techniques, detection of repackaged variants of known malware families using Androsimilar. This is our method which we have developed in a published article as well. Identifies vulnerable components, those can be exploited. And there's a permission risk analysis framework also, it's part of Androsimilar. Intercomponent interaction graph for better insight into working on an app, and then identification of malicious behavior using dynamic analysis, which is work under progress actually, I must say. And displays virus total results for malware samples, which we have or which you would like to look at. This is a very top level flow, the way we do it. You submit something, then report will be generated, some part online, and if you want, then it can be sent detailed one as well. And this is the bigger flow, which part is completed and part is not. It is, as I said, that this is funded by a project, and the project that typically research students work on this to develop various part. And this is I think now it's a journal paper actually, somewhere in Elsevier, Journal of Information Security and Assurance. So this is methodology. So I'll be giving you later on this these slides as well, those who are interested. So this is our performance, how we do it with respect to others. And this is some code details, which is difficult to read from that distance. I can see this. There's need for improved understanding of Android malware. Means we know a bit, but we don't know everything. Remember that. Need for a multi-cost, multi-step method for robust detection and analysis Android malware tool. Because currently, what we are doing is offline. You submit something, generate a report. But now what we are trying to do is, can we generate an app which can sit with it, work with Android analyst, and give you some kind of event-based report, which is, as I said, work under process. We have been testing some prototypes. And maybe next 1 year we'll come out with this and make it available to others. Static and dynamic approaches by themselves may not be sufficient individually, because in static, problem of reflection code and native code injection will happen. But they can be complemented to tackle emerging challenges, which are getting better and better actually. Remember, malware writers are extremely good programmers. They are very smart people. So always give respect to them, that what they have written is a beautiful thing. And cloud-based solution can help effective malware detection while reducing burden on device for computation memory. But again, the model, because that will become dependent on network availability. So we need to look at, so it's a mix of network, mix of machine classifier, which actually the curve keep on changing with the amount of data you have and how good you are in classifier. So there is still remains quite an open area to work on. Okay, thank you.